Greetings, class. This is Professor Bold, and I just want to give you an overview of the major paper case study and what is expected there. I've clicked in the area over here to the left with the instructions, but you can also find it in course materials on the week where it is due, which you can find in your syllabus. So I'm going to click here because that is an attachment that actually has more information that is going to be helpful to you. So this is the major paper case study assignment. You have two options. You do not have to do both options. You pick one of these. So the first one is that you may interview someone, and then the second one is that you watch a movie and choose to do your case study on the person that you choose in the movie. So you can actually choose one of the characters from the movie. I encourage you to look at all of the directions before you begin doing this. Don't just start out and interview and all that, but understand all of the directions and what it is you're writing about before you begin. If you have had any issue of writing in the past, you will want to talk with or explore. I went back to our page here, our course page. I'm going to click over here and I'm going to go to the UTA School Social Work writing area, showing you how to get there. And when you get here, this is one of the greatest resources that we have in the School of Social Work. So just backing up a little bit to say that Dr. Kilgore is an amazing help to you and to me as a writing professional. And he does one-on-one consultations. He has virtual office hours. He has presentations that he has already posted here online. So I would encourage you to scroll around there. If you do intend to major in social work or get your degree in social work, you are going to want to know who this is and use him as a resource long before you start your papers. Okay, so I'm going to go back to our tab with the major paper case study. And here we are. This is important to all people who might be writing in their career. Social work is very heavy on writing in the career, so you want to know how to do that, particularly with case studies. So you have option one, which is interview someone. It can be somebody that you know, someone you know well, a family member. Be careful about interviewing family members, though, because they're going to want to see your paper. And actually, anybody that you interview is going to want to see it, and it can be a very personal experience. So I do not do this on yourself. I do not assess yourself. The idea is that when you get out into your career, you're going to be completing case studies on people and who might be your clients. And this is an assessment of a person and the things that they tell you. And basically what you're doing is you're taking what this person tells you in the interview about their life and things. You're taking that information and you're assessing where they are in life. So you may have noticed that this is called the lifespan. And as you'll learn through reading the course text, you have to read the course text before you can do this assignment, or you will not do it correctly. But through reading the course text, you will see that there are various theories about life and various stages about life. So you'll see different theorists like Piaget, just to name one off the top of my head, Piaget or Erikson or others, that will have an idea about the various age groups. So, for example, Erikson may have a theory about toddlerhood, or Piaget might have a theory about teens. And so, as you look at this person's life, you will make some comparisons there and say, here is what Erickson says, or here's what this theorist says about this phase of life that this person went through. So you're going to interview them first and then put your paper together using this format and integrating course information and course material. Okay? That's option 1. So here's the paper format for option 1. It's 8 pages, not including the title page or the reference page. The maximum number of pages is 10. You need to follow this very closely, double spaced, all of this, 1-inch margins. You have to have page numbers and correct APA format. I will take off for APA, and no page numbers, things like that will be point deductions. You're going to use third person. So you're going to say, this social worker assesses. You will not say, you do this and you do that, or I do this and I do that. You're going to say the social worker in third person assesses this client. Also, be sure that you use only the initials of the client and not their full name. I will take off points for the full name because that's a breach of confidentiality for that person. And then here's some instructions here about the body of the paper. You're going to use the live course perspective approach. There are some terms here: cohorts, life events, transitions, turning points. There are some very specific definitions for those words. These are not just things that you assume what a turning point is or a transition. You have to use what is described in the course text as you're describing this person's life. So begin by introducing the person. There's some information there that you need to read. And then you're going to write your observations, okay? So you're going to use at least 3 to 5 references, and these references are not just the course text. I want to see that you refer to the course text, and I want to see that you did some outside research on this person's issues. So let's say this person has experienced some type of teen pregnancy or something like that. You might go and locate an article that supports something about what they say about teen pregnancy. So if they say teen pregnancy, is such and such, you may find an article that says something different than that or something the same as that. But your writing should be supported by the course text and an outside source, a professional source. So you can't just go in and say, this is what I think about this person, because social work is built on, our assessments are built on empirically studied professional information. So a social worker doesn't make any decisions or do anything without using professionally sourced information. So you may think that a social worker goes in there and just forms an opinion. This is not just your opinion. This is your assessment based on what you have learned in the class. The professional information that has been provided to you in this course has supported your assessment. So you read this for detail. Also, it's very helpful if you use subheadings. This way, you don't forget where you're at or what you're supposed to be writing about. You don't miss out and not put in some information. So these subheadings are biological, psychological. This will also help you, if you read this before you do the interview, it'll help you understand better what you're looking for. So you're assessing this person as a whole, with a holistic perspective, as we do in social work. Biologically, psychologically, socially, environmentally, spiritually, looking at what this person has told you. How does what the theories support what they've told you? So biologically, if they have health issues, is that something that's appropriate for their age range? Is it appropriate for a 5-year-old to be, having a heart attack or something like that? Is it, and I don't mean appropriate, but what is typical? So a typical 5-year-old is not having major health issues. But if this person was when they were younger, as you will learn in the course after reading the materials and watching all the videos, you will see that biological issues typically only come about in certain circumstances at certain ages and in certain situations. So that's just an example. Same thing with psychological issues, social issues, environmental spirituality. So you are making an overall assessment of this person. It's very important that you remember to talk about this issue here. This is critical to social work. So how have they experienced diversity? In what areas are they diverse? Typically, every person has some area of diversity. There is no one who is immune to having a difference from other people. So, how have they experienced discrimination or prejudice? And what has been the effect on that environment? Were they raised in that type of environment? And how has that played out in their life? So you want to do an overall view of this person's life based on the information that they've given you and using professional information to support that. It is not enough to build this paper based on your own opinion, and I will give you feedback about that if you decide you're just going to do an interview a person and then turn that in, because that's not enough. This is an assessment, a study, if you will. And then, so there's social environment, spirituality. Now, I want to look also at this option 2. So what's the difference between option 1 and option 2? Option 1 is interviewing a person, okay? Option 2 is not interviewing a person, but it's watching this movie, not another movie, but this movie called Gran Torino. Let me tell you that this movie is very racially charged, and people could be very offended by some of the terminology that is used by Clint Eastwood in this movie. But Gran Torino is a story of an older gentleman who comes from a different day and age, and he approaches his life in a very unique way. From a social worker's perspective, I would like for you to say, okay, this is this person in this movie. Now, you can write about the gentleman in the movie. You can write about any other character in the movie, as long as you look at the full perspective of their life and what that looks like, what's presented in the movie, and give an example. Don't spend tons of time telling me all about the movie. I've watched the movie, but pick out key examples from the movie to support your paper. So, you might want to talk about, okay, here's the person. Let's go through this and I'll tell you how. So here's again is the same format as the other, same number of pages and everything. You'll choose one character and you're going to write about 2 of the topics. Stereotypes, see this listing here, okay? So you'll pick 2 of those. You can pick more if you want. The movie is just full of issues surrounding racism and stereotypes and discrimination and all of this. I want to caution you too not to watch the movie with children, because children are easily influenced and may not really understand the twists and turns of the movie. So it would be best if you watch this on your own, if you so choose to. Also, if you get in the middle of watching it and you decide this is not the choice for you, then switch and interview someone or do the other option. There are 2 options there, so you don't have to do this one if you find any of the material offensive. So this is going to ask you which person, introduce the person, and then this is the body of the paper. And then it also asks you to use subheadings for this paper as well. Okay? And it asks you some specific questions, but don't just answer the questions. You need to write it in paragraph form. Both of these options, they must be written in paragraph form, not in lists and not in just responding to the questions. Make it a full written document. I'm also going to ask that you do the ethical standards in this particular one. I'm going to also, I'll put that seems to be, is that here? I don't see that in this top one either. So we'll add ethics to the top one as well. So there'll be a revised version here when you see it, but this is where your guide will be. Here is also a disclaimer. And a conclusion. So those are 2 parts of it. I think that's it for this assignment. I hope that's helpful to you. Please read through this entire thing for understanding, and then locate where you're supposed to post the paper, and then be sure and email me if you have any questions. Thank you.